And we are on the air,
Well, the interweb wires, at least.
flying across the interweb wires, coming to all the friends, gamers and geeks out there. Woo!
Hey, it's me, uh, Brian, or Servo, whatever you want to call me. My cat, Aya, though she is not very much on internet commentary. And Jeff.
Yep, I'm here as always. Toby is wandering around the house somewhere. He may chime in from time to time and say everything is wrong. And there's a dog, Annie, that's walking around that probably won't have anything to say.
I just have I have two creatures here too. The other one's my roommate.
I'm sure they appreciate being referred to as creature.
You've met them.
I had a roommate, but the creature always destroyed things.
It's true.
All right. Well, normally I've kind of got a layout for these shows to talk about different things, and this week I didn't actually prepare much. There really wasn't a whole lot from the normal places I look at news-wise as far as video games go. So we're gonna just sort of shoot off the cuff this week. I've got a couple little things, but they're not video game related. One's I guess the big thing, we'll just dive right into it, is we've got comic book movie stuff going on this week.
hmm
So
New
this week,
new Netflix series, Daredevil. A lot of people excited about that starting or showing up this week. I can't really say starting when they dump all episodes at once, I guess.
yeah. So I guess it's just aired, or it aired this weekend.
Right.
I actually took off Friday so I could binge watch the whole thing and watched it all in one sitting.
Really, very nice. I have not seen any of it yet, but so the reviews I've been reading say it's pretty good.
I took a break to go pick up a pizza at lunch, and that was it. Other than that, I pretty much watched it straight through.
Why would you go get pizza? The only break you would need is the 5 seconds to answer the door.
There's a local place here that is my preferred place of pizza, and they don't deliver, so I went and picked it up from there.
That makes sense.
So I hadn't had them in like over a month, so I was like, it's time to have a really good local, just hole in the wall place pizza that's really good.
Very
But
nice.
uh, but yeah, I liked it. It was I haven't really looked out to see what people said about it yet. I kind of suspect that right now what I have seen is people basically gushing praise and loving it. I think once the initial positivity calms down, then that's when we'll start seeing the complaints that are out there, because there's going to be complaints about this or that, whether they be minor or people have big gripes with it.
Right.
Um, the things that I could see people probably complaining about would be the pacing. Some people are going to say it feels like it went too slow. I thought it was paced pretty well. There might have been a little bit of I could probably be convinced by a solid argument that it could have been due to put him into the actual costume sooner than they did. But I wasn't surprised that they held it off till the very last episode and the final confrontation with the bad guy. Um, I
Spoiler alert.
I just assumed that the costume was going to be a long delay, that it wasn't going to show up until towards the end of the series for the first season.
Well, I mean, he can't see, so it takes time for him to sew it, I guess.
That's right. It takes time to design it and and guess what he's doing and figure out how to do that. So that'll be one thing I think there'll be a complaint about. I've got a minor complaint with it overall as far as it tying into the larger Marvel universe, but I'm not going to talk about it because that's a spoiler. I'll talk about it later, but the weekend of release, I don't want to go into anything that does spoilers.
The
And
cinematic or the comic, because they're kind of their own separate entities now, I think.
cinematic, um,
Mm.
they yeah, they've always been. I mean, they're always going to be separate. The comics and the movies are going to be a little bit of a separation, but there was one thing that they did in the Netflix series that I felt was kind of a disappointment because it's something that does or does not impact the cinematic universe as a whole. Um,
Mm.
so anyway, like I said, I'm not going to go too much into that. I'm sure there'll be some people that don't like the actual Daredevil suit. I can't 100% disagree with it. there was something a little off about the headpiece to me. The rest of the suit I thought looked fine. It may have had a little bit more black than I thought it should have. I like the all red for Daredevil. Um,
Hey,
but the face mask, which you can see, they released an image of it. They did a motion poster that showed his mask, and there's like some lines on the mask, I guess, like where it would have been sewn together or put together or however you want to describe it. And that looks kind of off. It almost makes it look like there's the headpiece, and then there's those little eye masks like Robin wears over in DC, like as a different design part of the mask. And
right.
then the horns, when he's standing in certain ways, the horns somehow have had like a Batman feel to it, even though they're more up on the front of the mask. Which was kind of weird because the costume really didn't have the same horn design. If you watched just watch the first episode and the intro segment of it, with all the credits and everything, it actually ends with a picture of, with an image of Daredevil, the comic design sort of thing, and the horns look a little bit more like actual horns than the final costume did. So that kind of threw me that they did that. Um, but I kind of also figured that the suit we saw at the very end of Daredevil will not be the suit we see in the Defenders, and will not be the suit that we see if he cameos in other things, and will not be the suit that's in Daredevil Season 2. I figure they're going to tweak it, not massively, but they're going to do small tweaks as they go through. Just like they've done with Captain America, his suit's changed a little bit in each movie.
Right. Spoiler alert. No, I'm just kidding.
If you,
Um,
if you're real big on costume details, and
yeah.
then it's a costuming spoiler right there.
Sorry, guys. Also, um, first new episode of Game of Thrones. I think this is season 5. Is airing tonight. I don't think it's actually aired yet. I don't know.
Yeah, but apparently the first 4 episodes of this season somehow leaked onto the internet, so beware, there are spoilers probably floating all over the internet right now,
Yeah.
lurking and waiting to jump out at you and tell you what's happening this season.
Yep. I honestly have read 4 of the 5 novels. I've watched 1 season of Game of Thrones, and people don't get that know me. They're like, "This is the thing that you should really like and really watch," and I'm like, "Well, 2 reasons I don't. For one, there's so much damn sex. I mean, I know it's HBO, I know it's a cable station, and they like to, kind of do more because they can get away with more. But come on. Secondly, I don't know, I'm kind of afraid of the spoilers that are going to be coming up for the novels because they have reached that point where they're going to have to go out on their own, and Martin has told them how it's going to end. So maybe
Yeah, but I think I think he's told them a general direction, but from what I gather, he's kind of said that the series is going to diverge from the book, and that people that don't die in the book will die in the TV show, and vice versa, and they're not going to be necessarily par for lining up with each other anymore.
I don't understand. It's I guess so.
So
It's like an OVA or
yeah, something like that. I saw actually. Speaking of OVAs, I've watched. I'm years behind on watching things that are popular. I don't tend to watch them until like 4 years after they're
yeah.
not
I
popular
wait until
anymore.
they're over. I wait until
Yeah,
they're over and all on Netflix, and I can watch them over like a week.
yeah,
And I'm just
that's what I usually
tired
do.
of it.
But I just the last week or so I finally watched Death Note. I don't know if you picked up any of that one during its wild popularity.
Death Note, yeah, I think I watched about half of the series, so about 25 episodes, something like that.
So you watched up to the point where a lot of people feel like it died. A lot of
Yeah,
people feel like episode 25 is where it just kind of flipped. I wouldn't say it
yeah,
flopped, but a lot of people feel like it went off the rails and it wasn't as good after that.
yeah. Plus, like, as far as I'm concerned, unless there's just something really compelling that happens right around episode 22, 23 of the series, I'm probably not going to come back for a second season.
Well,
Um,
yeah, Death Note had 25 out of 36 episodes, and 25 is where they killed a major character.
yeah,
Um, and
actually,
this Death Note's been out since 2008, so I really don't care about spoilers on this one. I'll talk
spoiler
about
alert.
I'll talk about spoilers if it's been out for 5, 6 years.
Okay.
There's a statute of limitations on spoilers.
About
And
2.5 minutes, I think.
yeah, with the internet, yes. But first off, I was gonna say, finally having seen Death Note, ironically, I then stumbled onto the internet, and uh, it seems like once you're, I guess, aware of things, and things pop up for you in Facebook or Twitter or whatever. And I saw someone had done a picture of the Shinigami Ryuk, the main one,
Right.
and he's got a stack of Death Notes, and he's selling them to George R. R. Martin, and it's basically because he's run out of he ran out of paper to write the books on, so he's buying more notebooks to write in.
All right. Man,
I thought
he
that
does
was
love to kill everybody.
fairly clever. So
It's going to be one of those minor characters that nobody knows about is going to end up being the king. Everybody else is going to be freaking dead.
yeah,
Somebody that's probably not even been introduced yet, and he's only got 2 more books to write. He's
yeah,
going to introduce him in the second half of the last book.
yeah. There's
So,
a guy I know that keeps complaining about every time Martin is on something or talks about something on a podcast or he's at an award show or he's writing on his blog about sports where he's like, that dude needs to stop all this crap and start writing books because he doesn't need to die before he's done with these.
no, there are people that could probably ghostwrite for him. There are people that know what's up. I mean, he's
Yeah,
had the story. The overall plot has been plotted out for quite some time now. It's just the
filling in
getting
the
down to it.
details. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
and I'm sure
yeah,
he's got tons of notes in case he died. I mean, Robert Jordan's series got finished out after he died,
yep,
and there were what 2 or 3 more books after he died that came out. I don't
I think
recall,
so.
but yeah,
That sounds
that
right.
wasn't even a good series.
Yeah, yeah. There's people that swear by it, so they'll be coming for you for saying that. How dare you, you monster!
I'm okay with that. I'm I just didn't like it. I couldn't get into it. I read 1.5 books and said, nah, not for
I
me.
never, I never got into those. But then again, I've not read Martin's books either. I have the first two,
Yeah, I know you do.
both of which you gave me, and
Yeah,
I just haven't gotten into them. I don't know. It's just one thing or another comes up, and I've got other things that I'm trying to read or play video games or get through anime or whatever it is. So I just haven't
yeah,
sat down and gotten through them yet. Part of it is also there's always this looming, and I'll admit I've done it with Harry Potter. I've not read those either, and those I don't have an excuse on. But there's always this part of me that's like I don't want to read a series whenever it's like 2 books and then I'll read the second one, and I've got to wait for years before the third one. So it's kind of the same thing with books as it is with television or anime. I generally like to know that there's only 1 or 2 more books left before he's done, or they're all out and I can read the whole thing. But with Harry Potter, I ended up getting them all. They're all out. It's done, and I haven't read them yet. Part of that was because of bookstore employee burnout. By the time that they were all out, I was just sick of Harry Potter without reading them.
if I ever hear that wench J.K. Rowling's name again, I swear to God,
Yeah.
I'm gonna cut somebody.
Something like that, yeah.
Well, I would say go ahead and start reading the Martin series now, but since it takes him like half a decade to come out with each book, and he has said that the next book's not coming out this year, possibly not next year,
Probably a
like
little more time.
there are only 2 more books, but he takes his sweet sweet time. So
Yep. Yeah. So anyhow, but yeah, back on Death Note. You said you had stopped around 25.
yeah, I think I stopped right before he killed the major. They killed the major character off. I've heard about it, but I never actually saw that episode somehow.
Yeah.
So maybe it
So
was before 25.
I'm gonna admit I'm actually in the camp that feels like the show did kind of tumble off. It kind of lost some direction. I felt when they killed that character. Because the entire series up to that point was built off the dichotomy of these two characters and the rivalry of the cat and mouse of the detective catching the criminal,
Right.
and then you kill the detective, and it was really like I'd gotten probably 10 episodes into it, and I was like, this is really good. It's like at first I thought it was going to be completely different from how it was shaping up, and then about
Right.
10 episodes in, I started feeling like this was like giving Moriarty a supernatural weapon and you're seeing the Sherlock Holmes Moriarty dynamic from Moriarty's mostly his viewpoint, right?
Right.
And then whenever they killed off L, the detective, I was like, you you just you just killed off Sherlock.
Yeah.
That that didn't work. And so I was expecting something, afterwards, and then basically it's like the equivalent of saying we just replaced Sherlock with another guy who's going to someday be Sherlock but isn't there yet. And I felt like the guy the characters they replaced him with didn't bring anything new or unique to it. So it was like you're just retreading the same ground with new characters. It kind of felt like you were buying time. And it's not a case where, the anime was ahead of the manga. The manga follows the exact same storyline, the exact same suit. Halfway through the series, L gets killed the same way. Um, but I just felt like there were a lot of different, more creative ways that they could have taken it. I particularly thought that the reason that he gets killed, because the Shinigami Rim wants to protect the girl Amane, and because he's on the verge of proving who's committing all these crimes, who's killing everybody, and if he proves it, then she'll go to jail and she'll be executed. So to prevent her from being executed, Rim kills him. But before she does it, like, she actually calls it out. She sees exactly what happened. She sees that Light manipulated everything into this position where she has no choice but to kill him, and in doing so, basically commit suicide of herself as well. And I was sitting there thinking, man, how much more of a twist would it have been for her to not go through with it?
Right. They're like, I really have to. I have to. Nah. I think I'm just gonna go order some Chinese food.
Well, I was like, how much of a twist would it have been for her to not go through with it and then Amane die anyway? And the whole point being, because the Amane had already taken the deal twice to shorten her lifespan and cut her lifespan in half. So her natural lifespan cut in half, and then what she has left cut in half again. I was sitting there thinking, man, what if her cutting her life in half resulted in her dying? And so it was kind of one of those things of, no, I'm I don't have any dog in this race anymore. I'm not going to kill him because you don't want her getting hurt. She's about to die anyway.
Right.
And then, I've read arguments, if they didn't do that, then it would have cut the series short because Elle would have basically, revealed it anyway, or either that or they'd have some sort of excuse to just go back and forth in the same circles. But I was kind of thinking about it the other day. I was thinking, well, but what if you flipped it around the other direction and basically had some way of having the villain, Light, and I know some people don't consider him a villain, but damn it, he's a sociopath,
Right.
with a god complex, and he's not even an anti-villain. He's just outright evil. He's crazy as hell. Um, but if you had him manipulate things into basically having this big unveiling where he basically sets everything up where he accuses L of being the serial killer this entire time. That
Yeah.
the detective that's been supposedly trying to capture him is the one who's behind it, and
Right.
basically drive him out. Then you could still have extended it, and you could have had L, who it seems like most people preferred much more over the other characters anyway, could have continued to be the actual, the one that was the antagonist to the antagonist to the antagonist, and
Right.
you still could have panned everything out. I did read that they switched it up for the live action movie though, and was pretty creative in that, so that they didn't. Obviously, they had less time. You're trying to fill in 3 movies rather than a full 36 episode series,
Sure.
or 13 chapters, I think, for the manga.
Oh yeah.
But they, rather than going into the whole storyline of what happens after L dies, they basically just kind of, L dies, they jump ahead towards the ending, and L's still alive. And the creative twist there was L wrote his own name in the Death Note. To basically, he wrote his own name and that he would die in 22 days. So basically, he bought himself 22 days. That, if you wrote his name in the Death Note, he's already in there once. You can't overwrite what's been written. And
Right.
so he basically bought himself that time. So at the end of it, he's the one that basically has the unveiling and the you're caught, blah 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 sort of thing.
Right.
He still dies in the long run, but he dies having caught the bad guy sort of thing, and that to me kind of I liked the feel of that just because it's the whole sacrificing himself for justice, but also outsmarting the Moriarty of the story.
Right. Right. Yeah,
So
that definitely sounds like a much more interesting ending, especially since you still, like you said, they had the cat and mouse all the way through to the end. Um, Also, while you were talking, it's 12. It was 12 volumes.
yeah, okay, yeah, 12.
Okay. Yeah, you were in there.
It was in the ballpark.
108 chapters. I
Yeah.
can't help it. I'm an internet child and I Google while I'm talking.
I
Matter of
don't know.
fact, I just posted on my Facebook too while we were talking. So
You mentioned last week you have mild ADD.
just a little bit.
So
I like to call it I'm effective multitasking.
I
Um,
like I like the one I saw was what was it? It was ADOS, Attention Deficit Ooh Shiny.
pretty much. Well, that was actually like my Facebook post and the research I did there were in fact connected to what we were talking about. So that at least I was on the same track, same mental track. I'm losing it now. I start thinking too hard about it and it goes away. I'm telling
I
you.
once you started trying to have a thought, you lost it. That's
Yep.
pretty much what happened.
Pretty much, it's the opposite of what everybody else says. Everybody else has to focus real hard on stuff, and I'm just like, no. The more I focus, the less I can focus. It's a weird conundrum.
You mentioned you mentioned Game of Thrones being on tonight,
Yeah.
and the one thing that dawns on me is we chose a pretty bad time for this podcast because you've got Game of Thrones, and when Game of Thrones is it, you got Walking Dead on Sunday
Yeah,
nights.
it's true. I'm behind on both. I've got three seasons rather of Game of Thrones on my computer. I'm not even caught up to what they have on Netflix of The Walking Dead, which is, I think even that is a season behind
Yep,
where they're at
that's
now.
that's where I am. I'm up to everything that's on Netflix. Once they put the season that just finished, I'll watch all of that on Netflix, and then for next season, I'm planning on attempting to maybe stay caught up with Walking Dead, which will bring me to a total of one series that I stay caught up with.
So I don't have, all I have is Netflix, and I've got Hulu Plus for 2 months because they gave me 2 free months through PlayStation, and I have Amazon Prime. So if it's
Mhm.
not, if it's not something that's streaming currently on one of those three avenues, then I'm not going to be watching it because I'm not paying the outrageous prices for cable or
Yeah.
satellite in my case that they
Yep.
want just
Well,
for one or two television series. I think that's ridiculous.
AMC puts the new episodes of Walking Dead on their website for free. I think the last 4 or 5 episodes at a time are up there. So if it airs on Sunday, then the next. Actually, I think I've been told you can watch it live when it airs on AMC's website, and then it gets after it airs, it goes off, and then they post it up for again on Monday night, and it stays up there until it drops off. With I think is 4 or 5 episodes in.
Gotcha. Well, I know that I tried to watch Better Call Saul, which is the
Yeah, Breaking Bad
spin-off of
prequel.
Breaking Bad, and on the website, like you're talking about, but they only allowed you to watch the first 2 episodes without having some sort of an account connected that you could like log
Uh,
into your cable account. They were like, and then after that, if anything you wanted to watch, you have to have basically you have to sign into your cable account through their
mm-hmm.
website. It's
Yep.
Yeah, it's the thing that's happening more and more. I know that they did a similar thing with the Simpsons. Whenever FX put all of the Simpsons episodes ever on their website, you
Mm-hmm.
have to have you have to be paying for cable to be able to view it. And
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that to watch something like
Yeah.
that. So I don't know if that's the case with The Walking Dead or not.
I don't think so.
Um,
I don't think
okay,
it is.
let me just go to the website here. We're going to find out. Sign in to watch full episodes. Yep, it is.
Really?
Yep, you have to have a cable or You have to have an account through Time Warner, Cox, Bright House, AT&T, Uverse, DirecTV, one of those, to sign in to be able to view episodes. Except for, it looks like that there are 3 episodes, one from season 2, season 3, and season 4. A couple episodes here that you don't have to sign in for, but beyond that, it's kind of. I mean, I know they gotta make money, but there goes the roommate. Everybody say bye, roommate.
Huh, I was really thinking that it was you could watch them as they were new without having to do
It
that.
may have been that way at one point, but like I said, I didn't even really start looking at it until Better Call Saul came out, and I listened to a review of it on the radio, and the guy said that it was really good, and he apparently thinks that Breaking Bad is like the pinnacle of television, and yeah, I like the show pretty well, so I was like, sure, I'll give it a try. I watched 2 episodes and clicked on the 3rd and it said, nope, you got to pay for it, essentially.
Hmm.
So.
Well, in that case, yeah, same thing here. I'll wait till it's on Netflix.
Right. So
I know.
yeah, I'm cheap or poor or both.
Well,
Probably.
it's ridiculous. 80, $90 a month for essentially two or three episodes or 2 or 3 TV shows at a time. That's
Speaking of that, actually, and kind of going back to a little bit of the Game of Thrones, HBO Go started. Was it this week or last week? And I think that that's really kind of the way that more cable channels are probably going to end up going. I mean, right now, kind of it's in experimental stages. It's only on iOS, which is just a thing I don't even want to talk about right now because I'm trying not to swear today. But
well,
it's coming to other platforms eventually, though, too. Is what they've said. They said it's iOS for now. So.
Right. Well, it's not. Ironically, HBO is not the first one doing that. It's actually pro wrestling started it with WWE doing their own network where you can sign in and they don't have their weekly programs on there because I'm sure they're in contracts with the TV stations that they air it on, but all of their old pay-per-views and their sideshows and different things that they do and all their current pay-per-views, basically watch all of that for $9.99 as opposed to it used to be pay-per-view was $50 a month to go through your cable provider and all that. And there's a guy that I follow on social media, Patrick Scott Patterson, who had mentioned that was going to be something that he expected to see more and more people doing. And then sure enough, less than a year later, HBO says they're doing the same thing, and I think I've seen a couple more talk about it.
Yeah, I've always felt like that there should be more of an a la carte option when it came to cable and stuff like that. And of course, HBO is an a la carte channel, but a big part of the reason that I never wanted to get cable once Netflix streaming became as robust as it is, as far as the programming that they have available on there, I just decided, I'm not going to do that unless I have like maybe 10 channels that I would watch in general. And I really don't feel like paying for the 5 ESPNs I'm not going to watch and the 30 MTVs and, home shopping networks and all that kind of shit that I'm not ever going to watch. I'll actually set my TV or my cable box to skip those. And I did that the last time I had cable. I had my TV set to just show like these 10 channels. And when I was flipping through, that was the 10 channels I saw because I knew nothing else out there was going to be of any interest to me whatsoever.
You mean you don't like that Honey Boo Boo on the Learning Channel?
I don't. You might be surprised to find that, no, I do not.
Well, you just ain't American.
That's true. I'm French. Did they not tell you?
You just you damn commie.
That's true. Probably. I don't know. Are the French communists now? I don't even know anymore.
Do what now?
Are the French communists now?
I don't know. I don't believe so. But you a damn commie is an easy insult to throw out. And generally that doesn't offend too many people. No one seems.
I mean,
well, yeah.
You really probably don't want to offend China.
There's not that many good old school communists anymore, though. I mean, even China's to some extent embraced the capitalism of you'll buy our stuff, and everyone buys their stuff.
Fair point.
So, I'm talking about the good James Bond Russians, back in the day where you just knew that they could be good bad guys.
Right, right. But they have to have the fantastic. What's the word I'm looking for? Nope, lost it.
So say not the
Accent.
four, so not the
Accent.
four because the Fantastic Four don't look so fantastic.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. Um, but yeah, I'm not a communist, probably.
That you know of.
Right. Oh, was that like the gay? Is that something that you catch?
Yeah, maybe so.
I, I'm not sure. I'm not up on all this science.
Yeah, I went out without drying my hair and I caught the communism.
Oh man, it's hard to get rid of too. I think it's not quite as bad as herpes, but it's up there.
Oh, no good. No
So
good.
anyway, so yeah, Game of Thrones. Wish I could watch it, but I don't have an iOS device, or don't wish I could watch it. I don't even know where I stand on that anymore. Everybody yells at me when they find out that I've read the books and haven't been keeping up with the series. And honestly, like the first season, I liked it. It followed the book pretty closely, actually. So, but like I said, there were some parts about it that I was just like, eh. And I think in general, after having read the fourth book, couldn't get into the fifth book. I think I may be done with it as a series. I spent a lot of time reading those books. I watched the first season. I'm like, yeah, I want to know how it ends, but I'm almost to the point of I'll wait until the last book comes out and give it a couple of days to find out on Wikipedia. Like, which is sad because I started out being a pretty big fan of the series,
Hmm.
but I just lost interest over time.
Yeah. Well, maybe you just give it a rest and come back sometime.
Yeah, I've tried
Right.
to reread the first two books again. I actually listened to the audiobook version of the first two books, and again, they
Come,
were interesting, but when I started to read the actual book again, nope.
you come back later and realize that you don't remember anything that's going on.
Pretty
Then
much, it's
you've
pretty detailed.
then you've got to start over, and you're just like, nah.
Actually, that's kind of what happened. Funny story. The fifth book came out, and it had been quite some time since I had read the fourth one. And I know the fourth book and the fifth book were originally the same book. He had to cut them in two because they got too long. Which, considering each one of them is over 1,000 pages, I could see. But yeah, I went back and I tried to start reading the fourth book, which, by the way, was a bit of a slog. I didn't really care for it of the books in the series, and even Martin said it's really not my best work in this series. But tried to reread that, knowing that I was going to need to know that information for the fifth book, and I just couldn't do it. I was like, maybe not. So that's
Maybe
exactly.
some other time.
Yeah, maybe I will. Maybe I'll just wait until the last two books come out, and then I'll pick it back up and finish it off. At least then I know that there's an end in sight.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think so. For our listeners, my cat is playing with the plastic bag she found on the floor.
So whenever you start hearing what sounds like faint maracas, it's a cat with a bag.
That's right. She loves her plastic bags.
So the only
Man,
other
this is compelling episode.
compelling discussion on the internet, cats
I
with
think we're
bags.
changing the way of the podcast as we speak, right?
Cats took over the internet with photographs, but now they're taking over podcasts with
That's right.
bags.
That's right.
So as far as video game news, like I said, everything that I usually kind of keep an eye on, where I kind of keep track of what's going on, what I'm reading coming out, or rumors and all that sort of stuff. Really not much this week. The only thing I got is Final Fantasy 14 released their full trailer for their expansion that's coming out in June, and we got our first teaser trailer of Dead or Alive's developer Team Ninja is doing a Final Fantasy Dissidia fighting game. So one of the characters from Final Fantasy 14 is apparently in it, and they released the teaser trailer that showed her.
Okay.
It wasn't a whole lot shown. It was just kind of a quick look at some of it. It doesn't look like any fighting game that I'm used to. I didn't play any of the other Dissidia, so I don't know if they were similar. But it looked like rather than like a one-on-one, it was like 3-on-3 simultaneously, maybe. I did definitely see in the bottom left corner, though, in that trailer that Lightning from Final Fantasy 13 and Cloud from Final Fantasy 7 looked like they were in the game, which is no surprise because those are their two big characters.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I got nothing on that one. Sorry.
Yeah, that's pretty much all I really saw as far as video game news. There was a study that came out this week, and Forbes reported on it. A new study finds no link between gaming and sexist attitudes. So
Can I go back to what we talked about last week?
Yeah, so that goes a German longitudinal study was published that explored the connection. Results broadly show playing video games don't make people sexist.
Or violent. They are these things before they come to video games. It's like any other form of entertainment, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, you're going to seek out that entertainment that validates your views, whether or not they be right views, just as a general rule. So nobody was more or less violent. Well, maybe less violent before they came across violent video games, but they had that, like, kind of brewing underneath. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, except for Catcher in the Rye, which obviously turns you into a raging psychopath.
Apparently, and then you shoot John Lennon, but.
Yep. Because of the book. It's not the person. The book made him do it.
It's true. Well, actually, no, that's not true. Doing research on that particular instance and John Lennon in general, who apparently wasn't a very nice guy, there was a lot involved, but the book had some part in it.
No, I think reading the book just instantaneously made him crazy. I think that's how these books work. You see, you read them
inside your head, man.
You read them and they make you do crazy things.
If you wear tinfoil while reading a book, are you safe?
I think so. That's my understanding, anyway.
If you put a plastic bag while you read a book over your head, are you safe?
From brainwaves, maybe. From cats, no.
It's true. She'll come right for you.
They will rip the bag off your head and part of your scalp with it.
That's right. Man, they should have had that for, what game was that? Man, PlayStation 2. This is going back. Hold on, I'll think of it. They made a second. Manhunt. That's what it was. That really would have helped all the bad guys that I was fighting against, because I love those plastic bags.
Or the modern day, with all the Left 4 Dead games, you just include, you throw plastic bags on the zombies' heads and herds of cats come and attack them.
I like it. I do. Make that happen. Left 4 Dead is who? Valve? Yeah, I think it is. It's Valve.
Is it?
Yeah, it is, because I remember being upset that they were making a sequel to that when they still haven't released the third episode of Half-Life 2, or Half-Life 3, as the rumors have said that it's just going to be a completely new sequel now.
Half-Life 3 for the last decade.
Possibly, but yeah, pretty much. I don't recall when the last game came out, but it ended on a really big cliffhanger. Good job, Valve.
Turtle Rock Studios and Valve. Yep, Left 4 Dead.
Every time somebody talks about it, what's his name? Gabe Newell. Anytime he talks about it, he's just like, that is like so old. I don't know why you people want this game. It's so old. Like, we're doing new stuff now. God. I mean, obviously he doesn't say it that way, but that's basically how it comes off. Anytime somebody asks him about Half-Life 3, he's like, we might go back to working on some of those old projects if enough people show interest in it. And it's like, everybody wants it. What do you mean if enough people show interest in it? Good Lord.
And it's popped back up just a day ago. Tech Radar reported on release date news and rumors for Half-Life 3. So it's popped back up, fresh once again.
Is there is there another, what's it called, Games Expo coming up soon? Because it comes up anytime there's a large Games Expo. Like, are they going to announce it?
So basically, as far as your question of how long ago, Half-Life 2 Episode 2 was released in 2007.
Yeah, I know it's been a while.
So we are pushing, getting ready to push for the decade.
Right.
So it was March 3rd at GDC 2015. Valve officially announced Source 2, which, given that Counter-Strike Source and Half-Life 2 helped introduce the original Source engine, it put the speculation engine back into overdrive. So the question is if they've been holding out for Source 2 to do Half-Life 3. Blah blah blah. In June 2012, there was a bunch of concept art that was assumed to have been Half-Life 2 Episode 3, but it could actually end up being part of Half-Life 3.
Yep. Yep. It's well. Here we go. As a matter of fact, I'm looking at the same article that you're looking at, and this is the quote from Gabe Newell that I was referring to. He said in March of this year, the only reason we'd go back and do like a super classic kind of product is if a whole bunch of people just internally at Valve said they wanted to do it and had a reasonable explanation for why they did. So, and looking up a little bit further into that same article, some of the reasons that they've said that they aren't doing it is because they're more concerned now with basically the online stuff.
Yeah, social gaming.
Social gaming, right? Which I get that. I know that they're making money hand over fist on that with the Left 4 Dead and Dota, and I think there was something else that they came out with as well. But anyway, I get that, and yet just give us one more. Like, throw us a bone here, at least end it. Don't just let it sit there on the shelf with the cliffhanger for 8 years and not give us anything. That's just my take on it. and many other people's takes, I'm sure. But,
well, it still kind of makes me laugh that, and I know there's a whole big long story. I haven't read up into it in detail, and I know there's twists and turns and lawyers and everything, but it still kind of makes me laugh how much they're doing with Dota 2, considering Blizzard's not involved in it, and that's basically their property. Is where that started with the original Dota, the original Defense of the Ancients. So it was based off Warcraft 3. It was a Warcraft 3. It was a Warcraft 3 mod, and then it's become this whole thing where basically it's like you look at the heroes in Dota 2, and it's like they'll have one character, but if you look at it, you're like, okay, yeah, that's basically a dwarf exactly from World of Warcraft, or you've got was it Axe? Okay, that's just it's a Warcraft orc. That's what they look like. And I mean, it's just no question that this is Kunkka, the captain and sole survivor of a doomed navy, and he looks pretty much like a lot of the characters from World of Warcraft. Even looks like the navy commander from their trailer for Mists of Pandaria. So it's just, I mean, I'm not going to go into all the details again. Like I said, to some extent, let's not give Blizzard too much credit. It's not like World of Warcraft is particularly unique and original.
Right.
But I just think it's funny that Valve has so much focus on Dota when it's like it's not even your thing, man. And Half-Life is kind of your thing.
Right. I don't know if there's so much. I guess that probably is quite a bit of focus. I mean, they're making a crap ton of money on it, so I couldn't blame them too much for doing that. It is, at the end of the day, video games are a business, and I hate that that's true, but it is what it is. As much as people have been trying to say more and more that video games are an art form, they got to make the money. That's all there is to it. And even if it is an art form, I don't care what side of the argument you're on, there still has to be money there to make that art.
Yep.
So,
well, I don't know how much. I don't know how much in depth and how large a scale a Half-Life 3 would be. But there are some more of the offshoot. Now, obviously, it wouldn't be as small, but there are the offshoots. Like Ubisoft has done a couple things. They did Valiant Hearts, which is an indie game style. So, there are those side projects that they're not expected to be the huge money makers, but I guess to me it's kind of one of those things. Ubisoft's a good example. Ubisoft puts out a new Assassin's Creed every single year. Every single year, Assassin's Creed sells. EA
Right.
puts out a new Call of Duty every single year. Every year, Call of Duty sells. And a lot of
Right.
people are like, dear God, stop making Assassin's Creed, stop making Call of Duty. But at the same time, if you're making a ton of money off those, which are fairly easy to make by comparison, that kind of gives you the buffer to let you do some kind of more experimental new IPs on the other side of the business too, you know?
I wish there were more of those things you were just saying with that money, but I don't know. I haven't seen a whole heck of a lot. We'll see. I guess Star Wars Battlefront? I don't know. I
Yeah,
don't know if
well,
that really considered experimental. I mean, the first Battlefront was one of the best-selling Star Wars games ever.
yeah,
So,
yeah. But I mean, Ubisoft, they've got they did Valiant Hearts. They did another one that fairly recently that I'm blanking on what it was. It was another kind of small one. They've done. They just started up with the Watch Dogs as their new big AAA IP, which kind of came out mixed whenever it first released. But I kind of feel like it's going to be sort of like Assassin's Creed was. Started off. The first Assassin's Creed wasn't that great. It was just sort of a, hey, look what we can do with this tech. And then
mm,
Assassin's Creed 2 was phenomenal by comparison.
sure.
So I kind of think Watch Dogs will be the same thing. It's going to be the first one, the second one actually is going to be probably a lot better than the first one was.
Okay.
Child of Light, that's the other one. Child of Light was the other one that's actually from Ubisoft, and that's an RPG that I heard was actually really good.
Sounds familiar, but I couldn't put a face to her.
They also did
I think
they also did South Park: Stick of Truth, which I haven't played because my PS3
true.
died.
I've actually been playing that recently on my computer on Steam. Um,
Yeah,
I bought it on Steam. I think it was last week for like $4.
yeah.
It was on like a super good sale, and it was on my wish list. And Steam, you bloody bastards, send me
Oh,
an
they'll
email.
tell you. They will tell
Oh
you
yeah,
if
they
it's on
do.
your wish.
Something on your wish list is on sale. I'm like, son of a bitch, and I just got paid. You sons of bitches. I hate you. I love you. I'm sorry. No.
This game is on your wish list, and according to our records, you just got paid. So therefore, we thought you might want to buy this.
hmm
Wait. You know I just got paid?
That's how I just bought Bastion as well, which apparently was really good. So I'll be playing that here in the near future.
Yeah, I've heard that one was good too. I've not played either of them, but I can tell you that Child of Light and Bastion both have good soundtracks because I
Mm.
listened to them while I was working.
I actually bought the soundtrack version, so I'm glad that I did that. It was like a couple bucks more to get the soundtrack, digital soundtrack. And I'm like, all right, why not?
Oh, it's included as part of your bundle.
Yeah, yeah, you can buy the bundle like that, or you can just buy the game by itself. Either way, it's still like dirt cheap. I think I paid $7 for the bundle that includes the game and the soundtrack for Bastion.
Yeah.
Um, so dirt cheap. Can't turn it down. I love you, Steam, but I hate your sales. Like my wallet hates your sales, I should say. That's
I
all
live.
right. I like ramen and peanut butter. It's
I,
okay.
s- I see. It's kind of like that scene towards the beginning of Happy Gilmore. You know, you're yelling at Steam over the thing. I hate you. Then instantly you come back. I'm sorry, baby. I didn't mean that. You know, I just get so upset and uncomfortable. I get scared.
That's right. So yeah, that's what I've been playing actually is South Park and the Stick of Truth. Just to kind of throw that out there. That's been playing that and watching not a whole lot. I don't know. Let's see. Oh, another fun article that I picked up here. Completely off topic, but it's on my other window over here, so we're going to talk about it now because I lost my other train of thought. Excuse me.
Okay.
New Spider-Man movie. There
Yep.
was the whole mess with Sony and Marvel Cinematic Universe, and they
I was
couldn't
going to
do
bring
this
this
and they
up.
couldn't do that. And the new Spider-Man movie, there was a lot of speculation that the new Spider-Man would be Miles. What's his last name? I can't think of it.
Miles Morales, which I actually
Morales. That's right.
said was BS from the beginning because the original press release specifically called out Peter Parker. Uh,
Right.
but but then people were going on and on about, oh, well, they're saying he's going to be in high school, so it's going to be Miles Morales. And uh, I went so far as to see an article that basically said two of the actors that were being suggested as possibly in the running for the role. And
Right.
the article basically went so far as to say these guys are both phenomenal actors, but I hope neither of them get it because they're white.
All right.
And I
Racism
was
is alive and well.
I was like, really? I mean, I understand you. I understand you want Miles Morales. I understand that a lot of people have been accusing Marvel of every one of their characters that are headlining are white people.
To be
Um,
fair, all the guys that were like writing for them and all and creating for them for years and years and years and years and years were white people. So,
well,
you know,
white. A lot of it is also it's white people in the '60s, so
true.
historical issues there. But
Right.
we have brought in Falcon. We've got Rhodes as War Machine, who I'm kind of hoping takes over as kind of maybe the star of an Iron Man movie if Robert Downey Jr. doesn't continue to do it. I'd like to see Cheadle actually take on the role of being Iron Man. I think that would be kind of cool. We've got Luke Cage coming out on Netflix in
Sure.
2016. But yes, as you were saying, the confirmation is it will be Peter
Uh,
Parker playing as Spider-Man, and he will be 15 or 16 years old in high school.
Yep, I wouldn't mind seeing the ultimate version of Spider-Man Miles Morales in a separate thing. I
I
think that
think,
would be really interesting, but I don't feel like that it's really the time for it, especially with some of the upcoming stuff, like Civil War, for example. That was Peter Parker,
yeah,
and I don't know. It's they're kind of back and forth, I think, on whether or not they're going to include Spider-Man. I hope they do because it was a pivotal, he was a big part of the whole Civil War storyline in the comics. But again, that's one of those where the cinematic universe and the comics are two separate things. So.
yeah. So so I've got plenty of opinions on this. So let me give them to you.
Mhm.
So first off, I think that Peter Parker is the only choice to start off with Spider-Man in the
Mhm.
Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Mhm.
I would say my expectation is whoever plays it probably gets signed on for like a 9 picture deal, which would probably be something ridiculous like 6 Spider-Man movies, the Avengers Infinity War 1 and 2,
Mhm.
one other movie, and then possibly the cameo. I think it'll just be a cameo in Civil War. I don't think I'll have a huge major part in it. And I would say that somewhere towards the end, let's say that there's 6 standalone Spider-Man movies planned out. I would say by the first of the second trilogy, we would probably get the first look at Miles Morales, and then we'd probably introduce Miles more fully in the second. And by the end of the third, we would have whoever's cast as him set up to take over as Spider-Man in the next one. Um, that said, how do they do it? Do they have Peter Parker, move on, stop being Spider-Man? I don't know. That's their problem, and I'll trust them to do it properly. Which is going to be interesting to see how they handle some other characters coming up pretty soon.
Yep.
But yeah, I definitely think that whoever plays Peter, long-term contract, but at some point during that contract, I think we'll see Miles introduced, and he'll take over as the Spider-Man after the Peter Parker actor is done.
Mhm.
And then it'll probably be him for a while. Then they'll cast someone new to play Peter Parker. Peter will come back as Spider-Man. And it'll probably go back and forth a little bit like that. As
Sure.
far as Civil War goes, I keep seeing like so many people saying how huge and crucial he was, how important Spider-Man is to the whole thing. I don't think he's going to be that crucial to the movie. And I don't think the movie's going to be anything like people are saying it's going to be. People are thinking that Civil War is going to be, oh, you've got to have the Superhero Registration Act. You can't. There's
Right.
no there's no fight to have in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Everyone knows that Steve Rogers is Captain America. Everyone knows that Tony Stark is Iron Man.
You do
Uh,
not. Have you read the Civil War um, storyline? Just to pause there.
yes, I have every issue. I have every issue of it. But if you look at the Marvel Cinematic Universe, every single character is known to the government, if not the public at large, and there are no secret identities except for Daredevil, Spider-Man, and possibly Black Panther. And I don't think 3 guys is enough to cause a full schism. And we've seen a little glimpse. They released a footage. It was like it's all of maybe 2 minutes from Age of Ultron, where after whatever happens with Ultron and Scarlet Witch and all that, uh, it's Tony Stark and Steve Rogers they're out somewhere at a cabin or whatever, and they're out chopping wood, and they're having this discussion. And it's very clear that from what we know so far that the Ultron program, Tony was working on that to replace the Avengers, to basically make the Avengers unnecessary.
Right.
And the discussion he's having Steve in this scene is basically he's saying, isn't that the point? Isn't the point of this to make us unnecessary so that the fight's over so that we can go home? And Steve gets pissed. That's the scene. He's got this big huge log and he just rips it in half with his bare hands. And he says, every time someone tries to stop a war before it happens, innocent people die. And I think that's going to be the direction that the schism that leads to essentially the Civil War isn't going to be over superhero registration. It's going to be over Tony Stark wants to re-implement S.H.I.E.L.D. the way it used to be, the big brother in the sky that looks over everything and stops crime before it happens. And as we've seen from Winter Soldier, Steve completely doesn't agree with that because he thinks that's tyranny, not protection.
I haven't seen Winter Soldier, but
well,
sorry.
So I just spoiled the entire movie for you. No, not really.
Bucky, no. Anyway.
But yeah, so I think that's going to be the bigger point between the two of them is going to be over the Big Brother form of S.H.I.E.L.D. Being brought back. And I think I'm behind on S.H.I.E.L.D. too. I watched the first season. I haven't watched the second season, but I'll buy it as soon as it's on Blu-ray and catch up. But from my understanding, there's even a split within S.H.I.E.L.D. on the show that there's two versions of S.H.I.E.L.D. now. There's I think Coulson, and then there's another segment of S.H.I.E.L.D. that's kind of wanting to overthrow Coulson. And with Age of Ultron building up, I'm sure that's going to tie in. And in the comics at one point, Tony actually became the director of S.H.I.E.L.D., so I can definitely see that being a potential direction things are going to develop.
Okay. I haven't watched as much of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because I waited. I've been watching it on Netflix on and off, and I reached an episode where the description said that that episode follows the second Thor film, and I had not seen that yet. So I have seen that. I just hadn't picked it back up yet.
Yeah, there's really no tie-in to Thor. The events of Thor 2 don't have any impact on S.H.I.E.L.D. whatsoever. The events of
why did the description say that?
No idea. They may mention it in passing, but yeah, it's very minimal. The events of Winter Soldier. The events of Winter Soldier majorly had an impact on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, I actually kind of got that spoiled a little bit on a video I was watching on crack.com, you bastard, where they talk about the kind of the spoiler about one of the main S.H.I.E.L.D. characters, and what happens to him, I guess, during Winter Soldier or some such. I don't recall, but
yeah, Hell Hydra.
Yeah. Let's see. No, yeah, this episode starts out with just reading the description here. In the aftermath of the events chronicled in the feature film Thor: The Dark World, Coulson and the S.H.I.E.L.D. team try to pick up the pieces. That's the description of the episode. So.
I don't remember much impact from Thor: The Dark World. I really don't.
You're messing with me, Netflix.
Either that or I'm lying to you through my teeth. I would never do that to you, buddy.
No, I trust you with my my everything there, Jeff.
I have his everything now.
Almost called you your old nickname. Would that be weird?
Crow?
Yeah.
Well, you've got the image there. I could change mine at some point. We could change the entire layout of this whole podcast.
Let's see how it goes before we do that. So
the whole dynamic changes, and it just becomes a matter of just finding things and making fun of them.
Yeah, I like that, and isn't that kind of what we do? But anyway,
I think that's what every podcast does to some extent. That's what every conversation in the geek kingdom does. Doesn't matter what arena of geekdom you're in. I think every conversation to some extent is making fun of something involved in what you love.
Right. We're that's just how we are as a culture. We're sarcastic bastards. So.
Yeah. Well. So, bringing back to what you were bringing up, the interview about Spider-Man. So, not only is it Peter Parker, not only is he in high school, but they're not doing an origin story.
Thank God. We've seen 2 of those. And don't get me wrong, I cry when Uncle Ben dies in both of them, even though I know it's going to happen. But still, I don't need it again.
Your heart can't take it. The pain is still too near.
through one Spider-Man movie without crying. Amazing 2 killed me. Amazing 1, Uncle Ben dies. Spider-Man 3 was just so bad that I cried.
So let me make sure I understand. So Uncle Ben dies in the original Raimi. That makes you cry.
Mm-hmm.
The tortured self-conflict of Doc Ock got you a little teary-eyed, I'm sure.
It's true.
Spider-Man
Emo,
Spider-Man 3
Emover.
was just so bad you cried in pain from watching it.
Emover made me cry. Is what it was. That's where I lost it. What?
As
No, Peter, why?
as soon as you saw the haircut, you just started crying.
Well, when a haircut, do you not remember in the scene in
Oh yeah.
Spider-Man 3, he actually just kind of brushes it into an Emover. He already has.
Oh yeah, that's true.
He's just like, bleh, now it's bleh. Shut up! Why have you done this to me?
It was bad.
It was real bad. And then that '70s show, Eric for Venom. I mean, come on. Why?
Yeah,
Don't get me wrong. I don't have anything against Topher Grace as an actor. He was not the right actor for that role.
oh no, you need someone like you need to find someone that can do the voice acting for Eddie Brock, but then just get in Brock Lesnar from UFC and WWE to be the body for Eddie Brock. There, you've got the size.
Right.
He's a big guy.
He is, and Topher Grace is not. I'm sorry. He probably bulked up for that movie. Is the sad part. Like, I'm sure that was a big Topher Grace that we got to see, but he still was not big at all. So.
Yeah.
And then, like we said, an amazing one, the first amazing, Uncle Ben dies, and then amazing 2, the thing happens, and it's been long enough now.
Moratorium's over on spoilers for Amazing Spider-Man 2. Gwen
Okay,
dead.
okay. Yeah, Gwen bites it in a very, very sad way, and
Oh, actually, does Amazing Spider-Man 1, does it get a 2-punch because they kill Uncle Ben and Captain Stacy in the same movie?
You're right, they do. But yeah, no, you're right. I did cry at the beginning and the end of that one. So
No!
seriously, Spider-Man, come on. Also, going back to like the new movie, it's going to be Peter Parker and everything. Let's find some new villains. Like we've done Goblin in 2 different Spider-Man series.
Technically, we've done Goblin 3 times.
Yeah. So let's just let him rest for a while. Doc Ock, I don't want to see him done again. It was really well done, I thought. Venom, I would like to see it done right, but I'd really like to see somebody else just in this next movie as the villain. Then let's not rehash where we've gone.
I think you will see Venom by the end of this Spider-Man series, and I think they'll take their time and do it right.
I hope so. And
Because
like I said, I don't mind seeing Venom. And honestly,
Venom, he was a cameo, really. I mean,
yeah.
he was so minor, he was almost a cameo.
Yeah. And honestly, like there are some of the other, like Doc Ock has to show up eventually. He's like the anti-Spider-Man to some extent before Venom became a thing. With the 8 arms to rival Spider-Man, a spider's 8 legs, etc., etc. A brilliant scientist. But anyway, so he'll have to show up eventually. Venom will have to show up because he's one of the most popular characters of the Spider-Man universe. I get that, but for this first film, Peter Parker's first foray, can we just pick somebody completely different than what's been in any of the previous movies? Let's just set it apart. Let's go with Vulture. Craven. Craven came along later, so that might not work.
Yeah, well, and there's a rumor that's gone out that his first. Now I can see this being a part of the movie and not the full movie, but there's a rumor that he may actually fight Iron Man in his standalone movie. And I could see that being just a part of it, and because the same rumor said that basically he fights Iron Man and he auditions to try and join the Avengers. If they do something where he breaks into Stark Tower and tries to join the Avengers, I will be ecstatic because that is a direct throwback to Amazing Spider-Man #1, where he did the exact same thing to try and join the Fantastic Four.
Right. Cat's playing with the toy now. Sorry.
Your podcast is stupid. Pay attention to me.
Pretty much.
So yeah, as far as who would be a good villain to start off with, I don't know. It's hard because at this point, the big names have been used, except for, and just from a special effects standpoint, oh boy, you could use Mysterio.
Yes, do that, please. Wasn't he? He was rumored to be in Amazing 2 originally. Whenever some of the first shots of Electro came out, they were saying that it might have been Mysterio. And then, of course, he was rumored that he was going to have to be in Sinister Six, but then that got canned,
Hmm.
which I'm kind of okay with.
So yeah, they've got. So let's think about this. So with Sinister Six, you've got Doc Ock.
Mm,
Vulture hasn't been done. He was teased
right,
in Amazing
right.
Spider-Man 2. Uh, Electro has been done extremely poorly. Craven's not been in it. Mysterio's not been in it, and Sandman was actually done pretty well. I thought
I
he was the part
I'll
that
agree with
worked.
that. Right, but he was also the one that was there from the beginning of that movie.
Yeah,
The other two, he wasn't one that was thrown in at the end. He'd been there the whole time, so they
yeah.
really
They
shouldn't
actually
expect that. But
well they developed him, and they had his personality and his characterization was presented well.
right, so yeah, let's
Uh,
pick some of the other two or whatever from the Sinister Six. Let's do that, or I don't know, come out left field with one of those smaller villains that nobody really knows anything about. If nothing else, it'll sell a lot more issues of the back issues of the comic.
yeah.
This guy, we got to read up on this guy before the movie comes out. So.
Shocker is another small time one, but
Mhm.
now see, Shocker is the sort of character that I kind of would like them to use as kind of like they did Rhino in Amazing Spider-Man 2, but good, where he's basically just basically use him, and they kind of did this, I think, in the Ultimate Comics, where Shocker they put him in multiple times, and he was all of like one, maybe 2 pages, where he's doing something, Spidey shows up, and it's like bam, bam, he's unconscious, and it's over and done. And eventually they built that up into being kind of a bigger thing that he got new tech or whatever, and it pissed him off and all that. But um, another one that they could do that they've not done so far would be you can't do it in the first movie. I think you need to actually establish Spider-Man, have that Daily Bugle J. Jonah Jameson angle, but Scorpion hasn't been done yet.
Yeah, you're right.
And
You're right.
originally Scorpion was paid for by Jameson to stop Spider-Man.
Right. He was the one that he did the robots, right?
Yeah,
No. I'm thinking of
yeah,
something
he,
else.
he paid for the Spider Slayers. That was Smythe
Yeah,
made
yeah,
them,
yeah.
but J. Jonah he funded it. He was
Right.
he was the bankroll.
Right. Okay, so I was in the right place. Good.
Now,
I haven't had. Hmm?
that said, I know they want a clean break from the other movie series, but I don't care. I want J.K. Simmons back as J. Jonah Jameson.
Oh yeah, he's the only J Jonah for me. I think I could agree with you on that.
Yeah, yeah.
J Jonah Jameson and Cave Johnson, two of his best roles ever. Not to say that he hadn't had anything else good, but come on,
Oh
really,
yeah.
he may have peaked. I don't know. Well, I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
So it's kind of like initially I thought I've got this certain voice in my head, and it's from the animated series for Kingpin. Very
Yeah.
sophisticated, very just this very deep, sophisticated, gentlemanly voice. And then you've got that same the deep baritone when he was in the Affleck movie played by Michael Clark Duncan. And so coming into the Daredevil series over the weekend, D'Onofrio, his voice was so different at first. I was like, well, maybe. And then, the way they developed him, they showed his background, his backstory, and all that. It worked for how they established him and set it up and everything. But there's this one scene. I won't spoil anything, but episode 4, D'Onofrio just embodies Kingpin so perfectly. And
Mhm.
so now I'm like, okay, D'Onofrio needs to be the go-to for anything that you ever need to use for Kingpin. J.K. Simmons is the go-to for anything you ever need for J. Jonah Jameson for me now.
Right.
Even though I loved Ed Asner as J. Jonah in the animated series, but
Right.
But J.K. Simmons is the guy. I want him,
He's,
and he has said that he would be happy
yeah,
to
he's
don the
coming
flat
back.
top. Yeah,
Yep.
he will put the flat top back on.
So, yeah, I think he enjoyed the role. It seemed that way anyway.
Yeah, yeah. He's made a
So,
few comments that he'd be willing to come back to it. Um, but so they said that, well, they did say it's not an origin story. They do want to reveal the origin in different ways. So I'm expecting there'll be like probably something quick in the opening credits for a quick recap in typical Spidey voiceover narration fashion with some humor in there.
I'm okay with that.
Um, they may do a flashback to the Uncle Ben Great Power Great Responsibility thing at some point. I could see that being just a real quick brief flashback. Um,
Can we use Martin Sheen for that? Because I thought he was a pretty good Uncle Ben.
yeah, yeah, he was. But again, they may want a clean break, so
Oh yeah,
we'll
I'm
see.
sure they do. Can we? That's my one question. Can we do that? Can we pretend like he still exists?
So here's the thing that I thought was interesting from the interview with Kevin Feige. He says there's a young kid already running around New York in a homemade version of the Spider-Man costume in the MCU. You just don't know it yet.
Huh?
And
Nice.
so he goes on to mention when they're talking about the look of Spider-Man. He says um, he was more involved in the Raimi films. He thinks that did a very good job. But that being said, we've already designed the costume, which is different than any of the ones that have come before, and yet ours is still classic Spidey, as I think you'll see. So that makes me wonder, because of all the problems it had, Amazing Spider-Man 2 was just about, to me, the darn best costume that we've seen so far.
Right.
But I'm wondering if, because he's kind of made it sound like they want the costume to look like something that a kid would have gotten. And after seeing the first costume that Daredevil's wearing, I mean, it's literally, it just looks like it's just Under Armour, the
Hmm.
tight workout outfit.
Yep.
I'm kind of hoping that for the first time that we see Spider-Man, that's all it looks like. He just bought Under Armour, sewed the web design onto it, and that's it. I'm hoping the webs aren't raised. I don't want them to be that silvery black reflective. I just want it to be black.
Right. He needs the armpit webs too.
I'm kind of wondering if they're going to do the armpit webs actually.
I think that they need to.
Another thing I've seen people a comment I saw about it was someone had said they wondered if they were going to go with the original classic large red spider on the back. And the comment I saw was it does that never looked like a spider. It looks like a tick. It doesn't look like a spider at all.
Dum dwee dum 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 dwee dow.
Wrong tick.
Sorry.
But the person that was complaining about it said, "Oh, that never looked like a spider. It looks like a tick on his back." My first response was, "Yeah, but it's big, it's simple, it'd be easier to put, and having it on there gives Robert Downey Jr. the chance to say it looks like a tick."
That's right. Also, like, you're reading a Spider-Man comic, right? Like, also, ticks are arachnids. Just saying.
He's Arachnid Man.
That's right. Uh, what was it? Oh man, what was it they came up with? Oh right. So speaking of Spider-Man, one of the things that I was thinking about the other day while I was at work, because I have a lot of time to think while I'm at work. I'm not actually mentally focused on my job, but it's okay because you don't really need much of a brain to do what I do. Um, one of the things I thought of was if I am going to convince myself to go to the gym, then I need to find one that has what I'm going to call a Spider-Man room, where basically I can swing from rope to rope, and that's like my goal. Like I'll work out, I'll gain weight, I'll do weights and gain muscle just so I could do that room. That would
Just
be
so,
pretty amazing.
just so you can be Spider-Man
Just
or
so I could be Spider.
feel like Spider-Man.
Yeah, I mean there would have to. I'm sure I'd have to wear like 10 pounds worth of padding, just in case I smacked into somebody or into a wall or something. But I'm okay with that.
And then, of course, the next step would be that you go out and you just start jumping around, swinging off of actual buildings. What could
But
go
you can't
wrong?
call it. Yeah, parkour. But you can't call it Spider-Man room because Marvel, probably sue the pants off you. So it's like arachnid guy room. Whatever, I don't care.
So basically, you're wanting the action figure knockoff from Mexico.
Yep. That's the one I want.
All
No,
right.
but I feel like that would definitely get me motivated to go to the gym. And if anybody's with me, go ahead and start sending me money so I can make that happen. Anytime.
Forget going to the gym. You are going to start your own gym.
Yep, pretty much.
And
It's gonna have Spider-Man room. I mean,
the
it's gonna
big
have your regular gym stuff,
the
but
big feature that sets it apart is going to be Arachnid Man room.
that's right. Wait, Arachnid Man is already taken. All right. Yeah, I got nothing. So anyway, that's one of the random crazy thoughts they come up with. We discussed that I have ADD, right? Because that
I
was
think
definitely
it's
an ADD moment.
think it's been established.
But I feel like that would be a really cool thing. Like I even actually considered I might like look into a rock climbing gym or something like that because I hate going to the gym. I can run for days and not get tired of running, but going to the gym just not so much.
Yeah.
I just can't handle being in a room that smells like I'm trapped inside of a foot and lifting weights. I can't do it. Just can't do it. But so back to what we were discussing earlier with Marvel Cinematic Universe and Spider-Man. I came up with another thing. I think I showed it to you. I sent it to you as well. The Age of Ultron's coming out here. Let's see, was it 3 weeks from now? Not
Yep.
even the whole 3 weeks. It's May 1st. So that's one, two,
Technically, so then it's
2 weeks and
you know,
5 days.
and the way they do it now, Friday premiere May 1st at 7 o'clock on the Thursday beforehand.
Pretty much, yeah. So 2 weeks and 4 days away, and they've revealed, or there are still rumors flying around as to who's actually going to be in it as far as heroes. So there's an article that I sent to you. Spider-Man is one of those that they talk about that might possibly be in it, but it's too early for that to even be a possibility. Like, unless they delayed the announcement that Spider-Man was going to be in the Marvel Cinematic Universe just to throw everybody, which I wouldn't put it past them, then he's not going to be in it.
Feig, so detouring slightly for you a second, Feig actually does say in that interview, Spider-Man we knew about when we were doing the announcement in October. It could have gone either way, and Marvel, as well as you know, doesn't announce anything until it's set in stone. So we went
Right.
forward with Plan A in October, but Plan B being if it were to happen with Sony, everything was going to shift. So they had all their plans about moving things around, delaying things, pushing movies back. It says they've been thinking about Spider-Man in the MCU as long as they've been planning Phase 3. So
Is Ultron the beginning of Phase 3? I'm not sure on
uh,
where that's at.
I believe it's the conclusion of Phase 2.
Oh, okay. So, well, that's kind of cool. But let's see, what else? Who else is here? I'm just going to kind of skim through this article here a little bit. Of course, we all know Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver is going to be there. Looks like in the trailer. I still haven't seen the trailer, by the way. That's pretty sad. Maria Hill, Nick Fury, and War Machine, which I think we knew War Machine was going to be there. Oh no, we saw that Hulkbuster. That's right.
War Machine is in one of the trailers because
Yeah.
he and Tony are trying to work together. They're trying to team up to lift Thor's hammer, and together they still can't do it.
Nice. Vision is apparently going to be making a part or have a part in there.
Yep.
And just looking over this article, it looks like Falcon is going to be there. So that's going to be fun. Black Panther, Doctor Strange, which have been rumored for quite some time now.
I don't think Black Panther himself, superhero wise, is going to show up. I think T'Challa will show up. So his actual identity, the guy who is Black Panther will be in it, but I don't think Black Panther will be in there in costume or anything yet. He's debuting, like it mentions here, he debuts in Civil War.
Yeah, that's what this article is saying too. Is they'll probably make some quick cameos.
I wouldn't expect Strange to be in there yet. I don't think that would be likely.
Let's see. He was officially cast as Strange before Age of Ultron did reshoots in January, so that's interesting. This article mentions Spider-Man as the long shot. Probably not going to happen.
the thing I read that now they've already said that there is a mid-credit scene, but Feig and Joss Whedon have both said there is nothing after the credits. Like
Hmm.
like the shawarma scene in Avengers, the first one. So there's no actual after the credits because they didn't want people to sit there for 10 minutes through the credits and then nothing and get pissed off. So they said they want to be upfront about it. There's nothing at the end of the credits. But something I read that they thought would have been funny would have been if they had a post credit scene real quick. They could have just had a bunch of Avengers, a bunch of Ultron bots, just wrapped up in webbing with a little note saying "From your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man."
I'd have been okay with that. And
Nope.
them saying that means that more people are actually going to stop or stay and watch now because they're like, oh, they said there's not going to be anything, so there's totally going to be something.
They
So
actually commented on that. They're like, obviously, there's people that are gonna think that we were doing that, but they don't gain anything by telling you don't stay through the credits.
true. They don't get anything by anybody staying through the credits anyway. Really,
No.
I get it. You want to have your name on it, and that's awesome. If you were involved in the project,
Well,
then kudos to you for sure. But
they've used it. The post credit scene has been used now. They've used it well as basically the first step of marketing for your next film. So they
right,
start generating that buzz for the next film.
right, right. So I don't even understand why we have credits anymore. Actually, but I feel like it's more for I made this kind of purposes, and that's great. But I don't watch credits on anything.
I think the purpose is for uh, Mike slash Joel, Servo, and Crow to make fun of the names in the credits. I think that's the
They
purpose.
they started that really early then,
Yeah.
because Joel and them didn't show up. Oh, I have news on. Speaking of Joel, I've got some more news there, but we'll get to that here in a minute. Um, uh, let's see. Back to this article here. Spider Woman, a wild card. Doubtful.
Yeah, I
Very
don't see
doubtful.
them.
Especially if Spider Man's probably not going to show up, then she's more likely than not definitely not going to be showing up for that.
Yeah, I
And
don't see that likely.
big surprise, Captain Marvel? No.
I mean, we know Captain Marvel. We know she's going to have her own movie. She's going to be the first female lead titular character.
Right.
But I don't see Age of Ultron being the place to introduce her. I mean, she's kind of a cosmic space type setting character. She seems more like she'd be tied in with Guardians of the Galaxy than the Avengers, really.
I don't know Captain Marvel as a character, so I really can't comment on that one other than to say probably not going to happen in Age of Ultron. So that's mainly based on this article,
Yeah,
completely. So
yeah. I mean, I could see maybe some mentions. I will say the opportunity I was hoping for that didn't happen. The thing that kind of disappointed me in Daredevil, I was really hoping that they were going to have Jennifer Walters, She-Hulk. I was hoping that before her being She-Hulk, I was hoping she was going to have a cameo in Daredevil as
right.
a legal aid or as because I think at this point she'd be a law student. So I was hoping she'd have a cameo in there, but it didn't happen. So
Well, yeah. Well, they can't cram everybody in there, I guess. I don't know. Um, so that's just kind of some speculation that's out there about Age of Ultron before it comes out, and of course, I'm sure that probably more will be revealed here in the next few weeks as the movie is actually kind of going to be coming out very, very soon. I don't even know how they keep secrets on this kind of stuff anymore, honestly. With the internet the way that it is and everybody knows everything about everything, I don't know. Hollywood is really good at keeping secrets, a lot better than the government, apparently. So,
yeah, and it's kind of one of those things that it is kind of surprising that most of this stuff. I mean, really, most of the stuff like this, Hollywood, it leaks out too. We have news sites and all
sure.
this, and generally it does. But I've got to say that in comic books they've been pretty good. I had absolutely no clue whatsoever that Hugh Jackman had a cameo in First Class when I first went to see it in theaters.
Right.
I had absolutely no clue that Thanos had that teaser mid-credit scene when I first
Right.
went to Avengers.
Right. Yeah, they've done really, really well with that. Speaking of Hugh Jackman, he's probably going to be calling it quits here in the near future.
Yeah, I saw that he had the Instagram picture that said Wolverine won last time for
Yeah.
Wolverine 3 that Marigold's going to direct.
Yep. So sad day,
Which
but
I
he's getting
th-
pretty old. So
I think that I think that'll kind of cement that he's not going to be in X-Men Apocalypse at all either.
yeah, yeah. Jennifer, I can't think of her
Lawrence,
last name.
Jennifer Lawrence,
Um,
Mystique is out.
yeah,
Yeah.
her last X-Men movie.
Yep.
I
Beast
thought was,
also. I can't think of the actor that plays Beast.
I don't know, not Fraser, the other guy.
Right. The one in First Class. What's
Right.
his name?
Hold on, I'll find it.
Nicholas
But anyway,
Holt.
who?
Nicholas Holt.
That's such a generic name.
So yeah, he's going to be done, and I've heard that there's rumor that McAvoy and Fassbender their contract may be running out pretty soon too.
We got to get these movies done before Patrick Stewart dies, because let's be honest, and or um, God, I can't think of his name all of a sudden. Gandalf, help me out here.
Ian McKellen, Sir Ian
Ian
McKellen,
McKellen, Sir, and Sir Patrick
and
Stewart.
Sir Patrick Stewart.
We got
Show
we
some
got to get these.
respect,
I apologize.
damn it.
We got to get these done before one or both of them dies, because they're getting up there in years. So
Well, I think they're done. I don't believe that McKellen or Stewart are actually supposed to be in Apocalypse. I think the idea was with the timeline being reset in Days of Future Past, Fassbender and McAvoy are supposed to be taking the reins from now on. They're supposed to be Magneto and Xavier going forward.
oh, okay.
But
Pardon me.
if their contracts are running out, then I don't know.
Nobody's going to be going to be. They're just not going to exist. They're going to kill them off again, like they did in that X-Men 3.
Which honestly, some people would not have a problem with the X-Men movies being killed off and Marvel getting those back as well.
Yeah, yeah, that's another point of contention there. But you know what? For all it's worth, the latest two X-Men movies have been really well done, cleaning up after the mess that was X3.
Yeah.
So I think that they've handled it fairly well, as much as Marvel would like to get them back into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But really, X-Men, in my mind, for the most part, now not completely, obviously, there was the whole storyline, God, I'm drawing a blank here, that destroyed the whole Marvel Universe way back in I think the 90s.
The Age of Apocalypse?
Yeah, Age of Apocalypse. Yeah, that. Age of Apocalypse, of course, the X-Men kind of crossed over into a lot of stuff, but generally speaking, I feel like that X-Men...
Oh, no. Age of Apocalypse was actually fairly self-contained within X-Men. You're thinking about the Onslaught.
Onslaught, that's the
Which
one.
crossed over into every dang
Everything.
title that they published.
Right, but other than like the Onslaught stuff and I guess Age of Apocalypse possibly, like X-Men has kind of been their own thing for the most part. I mean, there's cameos here and there, but they don't really generally work with the other heroes in the Marvel Universe. So I'm kind of personally okay with them being separate.
It was
because
more...
there's not a whole lot of crossover anyway.
Yeah, 80s and 90s, they had the more occasional crossover. Events or characters were interacted or had some sort of connection to each other. But since then, they've become more and more. In fact, with the big comic event they're doing this summer, Secret War or Secret Wars, plural. Apparently, the aftermath of that is going to separate X-Men into their own separate continuity, apart from the rest of the Marvel universe in the comics as well. They're kind of downplaying X-Men right now because they don't have the movie rights to it.
Right.
The thing that disappoints me is I do wish that Apocalypse is supposed to be the end of the trilogy. We've got Jennifer Lawrence is leaving. We've got Hugh Jackman wrapping up. There's a part of me that just wishes that Fox I just wish they'd play ball and get with Marvel and do something like Spider-Man where they retain the rights, but they'll still work with Marvel on developing it and letting them kind of put in some feedback, because I agree Days of Future Past was good. I'm hoping Apocalypse is good. At the same time, there's a few things I've already heard about Apocalypse that I'm kind of like, eh.
Right.
Um, but to me, I'm just like, what would Marvel do if they had them as far as costumes go? Because are we ever going to see X-Men wearing costumes? Are they ever going to be X-Men costumes? Or are they always going to be just kind of, sort of, not really costumes?
I prefer naked X-Men personally, but that's just me.
I think underwear is the closest we can get without having NC-17 slapped on it.
And honestly, I'm okay with that.
That that would tank the box office, so then the rights would possibly come back to Marvel. But
Well, there you go. Problem solved.
you're solving all the problems today. Um, I
Ah,
wanted
am I there? Okay.
you
Having
having
issues with my headphones. Can
are
you
you
everybody hear me? I hope.
are you having are you having
If you
technical
can, I
difficulty?
can't hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you. Hold on, let me tell you in this chat thing.
Well, apparently he can hear me, but I can't hear him. So I'm just going to keep talking until I can figure this out.
Oh boy.
uh, okay. I think I see the problem. Jeff, close this out here. I'm going to have to call it a night, unfortunately.
Is your computer is dictating that's it? The show's over. All right. Well, we just yeah, we've lost Brian. His something's dead. He's got some sort of technical issues that have happened there. Um, so yeah, I guess we'll wrap up a little early tonight because I don't particularly want to sit here and just talk to no one to do this today. I'm sure some people out there do that. Though I did think I'd note, I just happened to look at Superhero Hype just now, and they have an article up that does say, don't expect a Marvel cameo or Captain Marvel cameo in Avengers Age of Ultron. So putting the other article that we were looking at and discussing to bed there, it looks like that's not likely to happen. But Marvel's teasing the new Ant-Man trailer, which has kind of been flying under the radar a little bit. So anyway, yeah, we've got, as stated, 2.5 weeks until Age of Ultron hits, and not a whole lot going on in video games, so we're just going to leave it at that. If you've not been keeping up with things and you're interested in comic book other things, take a look online. Superhero Hype's had a few articles. The way things are shaping up for Daredevil, or not Daredevil, for Deadpool, are actually looking pretty good. We've had a few things from Ryan Reynolds that have been posted out. He's looking awesome in the costume. It looks accurate, and it is rated R, so a lot of people are happy about that. But anyway,
Wait, no.
oh wait, yes, no, maybe. Huh. I'm hearing little laser sounds every now and then. Maybe he's actually being attacked by aliens. All right. Yeah, it looks like his battery's going out. So, yep. So we're gonna wrap that up today. So again, if you are listening, and not very many people are, but if you ever come back and listen to this in the future, thank you for spending a little bit of your time or wasting your afternoon listening to me and my friend Brian ramble on. This is NinjaFox Radio's Games and Geekery show. You can follow me on Twitter at SwiftNinjaFox. I don't believe Brian has an active Twitter account this time, so you can just listen to him on here, and otherwise he doesn't want to have anything to do with you. So anyway, that'll be about it. Oh, he can hear me, so I'm talking smack on him. Oh, he does have Twitter actually. I still don't think it's active. He's claiming he does. He's telling me he's lying. I can hear you actually. I can hear like sounds every now and then.
What?
I can hear you.
Things! I can say things now. Hooray!
He's back.
I'm back. I'm sorry. My battery died on the headset that I was using in mid conversation. That was fantastic.
All right. Well, now that I've said good night and everything, and we still
Oh,
have 30 minutes, do we? Do you want to go on?
I don't know where we left off. Surprise heroes. I had something. Oh yeah yeah yeah. I do actually have something else.
Talking about Joel wanting to bring back MST3K.
There's that, and he's actually involved in a new project that's on Yahoo Screen called Other Space, which is a comedy series that takes place in outer space.
Go
Um,
figure.
I'm not entirely sure what his role is in it. I think he actually acts in it, so that's pretty amazing. I have always been a big fan of Joel Hodgson. I love the fact that MST3K was created by him. I love his dry humor as the character of Joel Robertson in is Robertson or Robinson, whatever. In Mystery Science Theater 3000, he's been my favorite over the years, which, nothing against Mike Nelson. He did a really good job with the series and carrying it forward to a completely different station, and he's done really well for himself with riff tracks and everything. But also Trace, I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Anyway, he also is in this project. They're both acting, it looks like, in this project, so that's pretty exciting.
Hmm.
Hmm. That's all I
Interesting.
get.
Interesting.
The original Crow and Joel, and all I get is
Hmm.
Huh.
You didn't give me a whole lot other than, hey, they're in a thing, they're acting.
I haven't seen it yet, unfortunately.
What did you say it's called? Other Space?
Other Space, yeah, and it's on Yahoo Screen, which is apparently, I guess, a new thing that I didn't know about. Their most recent, the most recent series of Community, which I believe is season 6, is coming out on the Yahoo Screen. So I guess Yahoo's making a comeback.
Or they're trying anyway.
Trying to.
Good
So
luck to them. They want to be.
no,
They want to be Netflix.
yeah, or whatever.
We'll
They're
just,
trying to be Google, I guess.
just make our own stinking shows.
Pretty much. Amazon's doing it, so why not?
Yeah, that's true. Although I haven't heard much about that. I remember the first round though. Like I remember when Zombieland had an episode that, and people could vote on which show would actually be greenlit. But then after the first round of it, I never really heard much more about it from Amazon.
From Amazon, they actually came out with a series called Transparent on their Prime series on their Prime streaming. It came out earlier this year. I can't recall the exact date, but it stars Jeffrey Tambor, who you might know from Arrested Development as George Senior.
I do remember seeing the preview things for that.
Yeah, it's actually quite well done. He stars as a father who's coming out as a transgender woman, or well, he's male, but he wants to be female, basically, for people that don't understand the lingo. So that one was actually really good. I enjoyed it. Too much sex for my taste, but apparently I'm a prude. That
Well,
in Game of Thrones, there's just dicks flying everywhere, and I can't handle it.
yeah, no, that's the big thing to be edgy is, yeah, you just throw sex wherever.
But it's unnecessary for the, especially like
Someone's
that.
out, someone's out walking their dog, people having sex in a tree, just
Pretty much.
everyday occurrences, just like the real world.
I understand that people have sex. I have sex every once in a while. It
I
happens.
know. Every time I go walk my dog in the park, there's people in trees just having sex. I mean,
Having
it's
sex all over the place.
just all over the damn place. It's
And
just,
I can get behind sex as a something to move the plot forward somewhat, but just throwing it in there rampantly for no reason other than to be edgy and to have it in there just drives me nuts.
yeah,
Like, oh,
yeah. I feel the same way with a lot of things in film in general. I think the two biggest ones for me are sex and violence. Don't get me
right.
wrong. I love both of them when they're used well.
Oh
But
yeah.
I think a lot of the time, I think there's some areas where some filmmakers use excessive violence for the sake of violence, where it's just
Right.
like, oh, let's just be shocking and violent.
Right.
And then there's other times where I think it's used well. Daredevil is an example where Episode 3, Kingpin used it well, and I'll just leave it at that.
Thank you. I know what I'll be doing over the next 2 days while I'm folding laundry, at least.
Yes.
I have a lot of laundry.
At least you don't have to wait long. Like I said, it's Episode 3 where the use of excessive violence is done well. So It doesn't take long. You get there pretty quick.
Right, right. That's actually something else that I kind of wanted to touch on, and just as a random thought because ADD. Um, I'm not entirely sure how I feel about series coming out uh, all at once. Like part of me really likes it, like a full season coming out all at once. But especially with these originals and stuff like that, I feel like that it kind of gives the writers a little bit of a chance to be lazy because they expect everyone to marathon it. So they can really just kind of get away with throwing some weak stuff in there that if we were watching this from week to week, they probably wouldn't get away with as much because, I've waited a whole week for this. What the hell is that crap?
But then the flip side of that is I've heard almost nothing but praise from the original series that do the full release. I mean, from even from critical levels, not
I
just
don't feel like
people
that
watching it.
Orange is the New Black was a great series on its own. If you sit down and watch Orange is the New Black the first season, watch each episode like once a week like you would a television series, I wouldn't have stayed interested in it. I didn't particularly feel like that the characters were all that great, and given I've watched the first season and part of the second season, but if it were a weekly show, I probably would have tuned out.
Yeah, I've not watched much of it.
The new
I haven't,
season
I
of
haven't, I haven't
Arrested.
watched any of the other things actually. I didn't watch. I haven't watched that. I've not watched House of Cards, even though I've heard that's pretty good.
I liked the first season. I never started watching it after I finished the first season. I was like, that was pretty good, but I'm done.
Yeah.
The fourth season of Arrested Development was actually designed to be watched to be marathoned, partially because they couldn't get all of the actors into the same room at the same time. So they kind of had to separate each episode into almost Game of Thrones like. Excuse me. I should say Game of Thrones the way the books are written.
Right, where all the pieces are separate but then come together at the end, sort of thing.
Right, right.
Which I didn't feel worked for Arrested Development. That
No.
is very much an ensemble series, or originally it was very much an ensemble. I didn't feel like it worked in the Netflix season.
I agree with you on that, and apparently it's like any other season of Arrested Development. You watch it again and you get things more, and it's better. But I haven't been able to convince myself to sit through a second viewing of that season because I just didn't really feel like it worked. Now, of course, they're talking about a fifth season, and we're all hoping that it's going to be ensemble. And hopefully, that hope may come to fruition because all those people that were doing different things now seem to have kind of like disappeared. I know, like I said, Jeffrey Tambor was working on that project. But none of the rest of the actors and actresses really seem to have a whole heck of a lot going on now.
Except for,
Character name.
blank on his name, Tobias Funke.
Tobias Funke?
Funke.
Tobias Funke is played by, oh my god, why can't I think of it?
Probably because I asked you. He is portrayed by David Cross. He's got
David
something
Cross.
coming out.
What's he got coming out?
Let me make sure I'm not insane, because that's quite possible.
I was
thinking he had something.
Hopefully it's more of the increasingly poor decisions of Todd Margaret, because that series is hilarious. Let's see here.
Check his IMDb.
Kung Fu film. Kung Fu Panda? No?
That's what? As Crane?
Yeah.
Weird. That would be weird. No, I think this with Bob and David TV series.
Bob and David? Bob Odenkirk?
Yep.
Really? They haven't worked together since Mr. Show. I'd be interested to see that.
Yep. So, looks like 2016 for that. So.
Okay, so he's got something coming up next year, but
pre-production at the moment.
All right. I am interested in that now that you've mentioned, because Mr. Show is actually really funny. I don't own it, unfortunately, but that's one of those things. It's on my Amazon wish list. Once I have extra however many bucks to throw at it, it will be mine.
Huh.
But yeah, like Michael Cera, haven't seen him really do a whole lot after Scott Pilgrim. I think he was in one other movie. Um, but
I didn't even realize that David Cross was Crane in Kung Fu Panda all this time, actually. We may have lost Brian again.
wait, there it goes. I didn't even do anything. I just started typing, and it's like, no, I can hear you again.
we
What?
need we need we need a professional sound guy for this.
We really do. I
Two
I
of
need a
them.
microphone is
Two
what it
of
comes
them.
down to. I need an actual like microphone and or headset rather than this Bluetooth thing that I'm using. And now I'm not even using the Bluetooth. I'm actually having to yell at the microphone built into the laptop. So
Well, actually, I've got a friend of mine. He does the sound booth at his church. And he's been talking to me about this thing. So he's gonna do some shopping around, look at some stuff, and make some suggestions for me to get a soundboard and some actual equipment in here and a microphone and all that sort of stuff. And I've got a Logitech headset that I'll loan you. So we just gotta figure out a way to arrange getting it over to you.
sure. Yeah, yeah, I got the brand new laptop for Christmas and the accessories I just hadn't had a chance to pick up yet. So yeah, no, I was just looking at Michael Cera's IMDb page. He's got a whole lot of nothing going on. He's doing Children's Hospital on Adult Swim, but I've never seen an episode of that, so I don't know how big that is for him. Portia de Rossi, hadn't seen a whole lot of her. Yeah, so hopefully they'll be able to get the whole gang back together for the next season of Arrested Development.
Hmm.
I think you and I are not the only people that were disappointed in the fourth season of Arrested Development. As much as people try to like play it up and say, "Well, you just got to watch it again to get it," it wasn't good to me.
Yeah, it didn't do as well.
It didn't have that magic. It had such high expectations, especially after season three got a little bit weird. Um, I was really hoping they'd kind of go back to the old formula, and they totally didn't. So
Yeah, and I think it's entirely. I didn't. The writing wasn't bad. It wasn't bad acting. It wasn't any of that. I think it was just entirely the fact of it was just a different format.
right, right,
Uh,
the format that didn't work so well for that type of show.
yeah, that's really the impression I get from it. So now,
Uh,
when you're having your technical difficulties, did you hear about my comment on that Captain Marvel cameo?
no.
So Superhero Hype just put up an article about it. And so with that rumor going around, Kevin Feige confirms even though a scene featuring Danvers was initially planned for the sequel, it's going to be longer. He says, we didn't want to introduce her fully formed flying in a costume before you got to know who she was and how she came to be. So don't expect to see Captain Marvel, at least not Captain Marvel, in Avengers Age of Ultron. Now, as Marvel has been wanting to do, is it possible we could get a little glimpse of Carol Danvers as Security Chief of the U.S. Air Force, Carol Danvers? Maybe, possible, but Captain Marvel not going to be in there. And we were rambling on a little bit earlier about the X-Men movies. The one thing that I think you've gone dead again. Oh, there you're back.
Go on, continue.
Now I think your mic is picking up what I say. But also, outside of the X movies, the things that we've been glimpsing of Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool for the Deadpool movie have been pretty hilarious.
Oh yes, yes. Please, thank you. I hope that movie is as good as some of his tweets and stuff have been thus far. Because let's face it, the Wolverine Origins mess it needed help.
Here's the beauty about that. The Days of Future Past changed the history. So, and
True.
one of the things that clearly changed was Wolverine and the Weapon X program. How? No clue. It doesn't look like they're going to explore that. But it was clear at the end of Days of Future Past that rather than Stryker getting a hold of Wolverine, Mystique
Right.
gets a hold of him.
Right.
That said, do you really think that we're going to get a Deadpool movie where Deadpool doesn't mention Wolverine Origins?
No, because Deadpool can flip between. Can't he flip between dimensions with his portal thingy?
Uh, Irrelevant to that, he breaks the fourth wall
That too.
constantly. Uh,
Yeah.
an early comment from Reynolds was that the early script had Deadpool actually in the movie calling out executives at Fox. So, and I mean, that's kind of one of the things I find funny about Deadpool is, as far as from the reader's perspective, he's a character who knows he's in a comic book.
Right.
But from the comic book world, it works because he's insane. So
Right.
it's like having a conversation with someone at work, and that person at work is convinced that they're in a reality TV show and that everything's filming them and that everything they do is part of a show, and it's kind of that same sort of thing. He's crazy. So
Right.
you can work it from the thing that whenever he looks over and he's talking to the camera, talking to the audience in the movie theater, everyone else in the scene is looking at him like, who the hell are you talking
The
to?
hell is he doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's going to be funny. That I'm sure he's going to call out Wolverine Origins.
Yeah. I mean, if he calls it out and says, "Jesus, what the hell," then I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
As long as they don't go with that version of the character. Ooh.
Well, an early thing I always thought of would be kind of funny to before they did Days of Future Past to reset it. I always thought it would be kind of cool to work it in and actually change Wolverine's history in the comic in the movie series a little bit too by having a Deadpool movie start off with showing scenes from Wolverine Origins and
Mm-hmm.
showing how all that happens, and then at the end of it, just kind of cutting back to Deadpool, basically saying, "Yeah, that's a load of shit. That's what we call memory implants, false memories. None of that actually
Right.
happened."
I like it. It was actually abducted by aliens the whole time that movie was happening, being probed.
Yeah, that sort of thing would have worked, but now they've reset it, so I think he'll just call it out as a movie.
Very good.
But I got a kick out of him uh, tweeting out the photo of the picture taken through the slightly open doorway of Deadpool sitting on the toilet reading a Deadpool the final issue of Deadpool
Good.
dies.
Good. Or the fireplace is a
Yeah,
pretty good picture too.
yeah, and the comment on the Deadpool dies while sitting on the toilet one was, "It smells like something died in here."
That's really good. But yeah, I'm glad that it looks like it's going to be good, and it looks like Ryan Reynolds is having a lot of fun with the role, so that's good.
Did you see the video where they announced it's going to be rated R?
I haven't seen the video. I read something about it, but I haven't
Yeah, he
haven't seen
he
the
does
video.
he has a video with where it's basically Ryan Reynolds is doing an interview
Hmm.
with what's his name? Oh crap, the guy that played Slater from Saved by the Bell. Mario
Uh,
Lopez.
Lopez, yeah.
He's doing an interview with Mario Lopez, and they're talking about the movie being family friendly, and Ryan's like, I don't know that I'd say it's family friendly. And then Mario Lopez just keeps pushing this whole thing about, oh, it's going to be great because family friendly. You get more box office, you get the families and the kids coming in to see it, and it just generates more money. It's going to be great. As he's going on, you see Deadpool walk behind Mario Lopez and then walk back again. And as he's going on about this family friendly, he just gets smashed in the back of the head with a chair, just laid out. And at the very end of it, you hear Deadpool say something like, "It's okay, Jesse. Slater can't hurt you anymore."
Nice. I'll have to watch that. I'll have to watch
So,
it.
yeah, but yeah, they confirmed that it is definitely going to be rated R.
That's good because if they hadn't made so much money and been so successful with the other films in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, they couldn't have done that. If they
No.
couldn't afford it, it'd have been way too big of a risk. So I'm glad that they've done well because I'm really excited about a Deadpool movie being a thing that's gonna happen
Well, and
in my
that
life.
that one's actually even surprising too because it's Fox. That's not Marvel doing it. So
Yeah.
I guess like you said though, it's if Days of Future Past hadn't done so well and that test footage that leaked hadn't gotten such a positive response, I guess we wouldn't be seeing a Deadpool movie.
No. No.
Now, on the flip side, there was, whenever it was going back and forth, is it going to be R-rated? Is it going to be PG-13? The one thing that I did think would be funny is if it was PG-13, you can get an F-bomb in there. You can drop one and still get PG-13, as evidenced by First Class. It would have been kind of funny to hear Deadpool drop one and then his second one get the censor beep, and then Deadpool being Deadpool going on with, why the beep is that beep? Where the beep is that coming from? And having him acknowledge the censorship and get pissed off by it. So I thought that would have been kind of funny. But being R-rated, he can go all out, do whatever he wants. They can use whatever language they care. And you may not have heard any of that. Dead again. I think dead for the last. Deadpool killed you.
Up there it goes. I don't know what the hell. This is the best episode of podcast ever.
That's right. This is gonna be talked about all over the internet as soon as someone hears it once.
Spoiler alert! It was terrible.
Yeah. You say that at the end of it.
Yep.
You're supposed to warn them at the beginning.
Oh, my bad. I had no idea they should have sent a poet.
But it's a little irrelevant because we're at 10 o'clock. We're going to wrap up after just 2 hours. So,
If we must.
Just going to recap what we said earlier. Again, if anyone does stumble across this and thinks it is mildly amusing, you can follow me on Twitter at SwiftNinjaFox.
I'm at Servo1999, but I'm rarely on Twitter, unfortunately. Maybe I'll fix that.
Yeah, I'm starting to use it more. I'm actually starting to use it more than Facebook now, because there's accounts on there that I can use that just post funny animal things. That's all they do all day long. So social media to me is about funny animal pictures and jokes and silly things, and not politics and whatever ideology you're complaining about or you're purporting or supporting or blah blah blah. I'm on social media for funny stuff.
Yeah, I guess it sounds like I'm going to need to look back into Twitter because I agree with you on that.
So, and you can just follow who you want to follow and kind of control what you want to see more. And they don't change their privacy policy every 10 seconds.
Right.
So, all right. Well, that'll be it. We'll be back on again at the same time, approximately 8 o'clock Central Standard Time next week on the 19th.
All right. Chimichangas.
See ya.
Bye.